Alright, it's Raven Tactical here, and it's going to be the first how-to video that I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a demonstration of a field strip of an AR-15. Most basic one I got is this one. It's a stripped down kind of lightweight model, iron sights only. So I figured it's the easiest one to show you. For most people, I would say the AR-15, everybody's got one, but I noticed being out of the military that not a lot of people know how to take it apart or clean it. So I'm going to do a brief, quick breakdown of all the parts, and then I'll kind of indicate what parts you need to clean. With that, let's just get started. So one note, when you store your AR-15s, always keep them on fire and then have the trigger pulled. So, but everything with every rifle, we're going to go and clear it. I threw a magazine in here just for the demonstration purpose. So, pull your magazine out, charging handle, so it's clear. You double check it, you look, you verify, you let the bolt go forward. If I were storing the rifle and putting it back up on the wall or in the safe, I'd pull the trigger, keep it on fire. It keeps all the tension off. Don't keep it stored on safe because it keeps tension on all your spring parts. So that's just one little tip there. For taking the pins out, a lot of times if they're real stiff, I'll take a bullet and push the pins out. Push pin 1, pin 2. This one doesn't have the sling on it, so sometimes I'll take the sling off. I'm doing deep cleaning. So front and lower, or upper and lower taken apart. As you can see, when your hammer's cocked and you slightly pull it, kind of put your thumb over it for a functions check. Don't let the hammer fly forward. It can kind of damage or mar when there's no upper receiver up there. So again, let the hammer go forward. Inside here, I would say sometimes it gets dirty, so you can take like a Q-tip, and I'll show you those in a little bit too, and how to use it. It gets a little dirty here, and then also on the buffer spring, you push this little detent, and sometimes I'll put the hammer down and just work it out. So this is a carbine buffer and a carbine buffer spring. Don't get them confused with rifle ones. You'll have a little bit of an issue trying to charge it, and it happens. I've seen it done, I've done it myself. These do separate. This is just a standard buffer. Some people go to a heavier buffer if they're having kind of an, different cycling issues. You can clean it. You can do a little bit of a light oiling on the spring. You put it back simply together. It'll click in. And then to feed it back in, you just work it over this detent and then push it in. And it should rest upon that detent right there. This one has basically a single point carrying sling on the back and the minimalist buttstock. I actually really like these. They're pretty cool. They're really nice and lightweight, and it actually feels pretty comfortable to shoot. Again, you can make sure that it's on safe. You can do a functions check here, but fire again. There you go. There's really nothing much else to the lore for at least cleaning or taking a look at. So you can set that up to the side. One other thing though is if you do mag pulls, these are kind of neat for putting maybe extra batteries, or you can get maybe like a wipe or something for cleaning, or Skittles for some people. So when we take a look at the upper receiver, it gets a little more complicated depending on your optic setup. This is complete iron sights. For me, I went with an detachable A2 style charging handle. It has an A2 front. This is just all Magpul furniture that I got really cheap. So pull the charging handle back, pull the bolt out. Now you have your bolt carrier. And if you take a look down here, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but you pull it up. There's 2 notches on this side, on either side of the charging handle. When you do go to put it back in, if you try to get it back in like this, it's not going to make a difference. You need to go look inside the bolt. Let's see if I can get it. And right about here at the entrance of it is 2 notches. There we go. 2 notches. You slide the bolt in, the charging handle, excuse me. You slide the charging handle in, it goes into the recess. You can kind of feel it go down, and then you can kind of move it back and forth. That's when you know it's in. As far as cleaning, this is the part that gets extremely dirty. As you can see, it's a direct impingement. This little tube here is your gas tube. As it cycles, it's blowing basically gas pressure from the round that you fired, and it blows back. So you get a lot of dirt. This rail and channel here gets extremely dirty, so you can take a shop towel or a rag and wipe that clean. The star chamber, as you see in here, indicated right there, that's where the bolt lockup is. That gets pretty dirty. Taking Q-tips and working your way around it is actually one way to get it really clean. As far as that goes, it's really not too bad. Sometimes if you have a forward assist, which is this, I recommend everybody get one forward assist. Not so much that it's needed all the time, but sometimes if you're shooting consistently and you don't have a great lockup with the bolt carrier, you can do this quick and it locks up and it might save your life kind of thing, where it's a final round. And so that's pretty much it for there. If you're cleaning barrels, you gotta clean your barrel. I run a bore snake. Never ever go from muzzle to breech. Always go from breech, from back here, run your cleaning rod, run your cleaning bore snake from the breech all the way to the muzzle. What it does is basically it protects the muzzle end. Sometimes if someone does scratch up back here, it's not as bad as damaging your last crown or damaging the last part. If you damage back here or up front here, it can completely destroy the barrel and throw it off. So with that, we're going to set that off to the side. So now we're going to look at probably the more complicated part, is the bolt carrier group. What we're going to do is first we're going to test it. So the bolt carrier has 2 options when it moves. So you have it here, and then it basically contracts and then it goes forward. You're going to take this detent spring out, or detent pin, and set it aside. You're going to flip it down onto the floor. Kind of hit it against the desk. Here's your firing pin. It's dirty. You're going to take your bolt. You're going to take this cam pin, rotate it 90 degrees, lift it up, pull it out, set it aside. The bolt now separates from the bolt carrier. You're going to set this on the ground. Now you're going to look at the extractor. You're going to put light pressure on the extractor. And you see this pin? You're going to push ever so slightly on this pin. And as you move it, with a little bit of pressure on the extractor, come on. Something new. So there's your extractor pin. There's the extractor. You're going to want to take a look at the extractor spring. Depending on your bolt carrier or upgrades, this spring can get upgraded to a little bit of a stiffer one. You can get what almost looks like a donut, kind of like donut receiver piece. It all kind of helps if you're having extraction problems. So the installation, so what you're going to do is you're going to clean here, clean the bolt face. You're going to try to clean in here, and then here you can see where there's a lot of carbon buildup. So you're going to clean around here. You might have to get a scrape tool, something brass or something like soft metal. Great. And then when people talk about gas rings, here's your gas rings. So 2 of these gas rings are kind of lined up. We're going to try to help ourselves out. And I'm going to try to rotate them so at least they're not together. So there should be a series of 3. 1, 2, 3. You can replace these gas rings if your bolt is not standing on its own. I'll show you that in a second. But clean, don't really have to oil any of this. So again, for reference points, clean this whole area, surface area, clean the extractor area. Be careful when cleaning here not to lose your extractor spring. So I recommend doing this kind of over a well-lit table. So then to put it back together, you're going to put it back in like that. You're going to take your pin, shift it up a little bit, You got to find that little sweet spot where you're pushing a little bit of pressure down and you're going to get it. And it might take a second or two because this one is really new. And you just work it and you kind of find it. Sometimes you have to do... Wow, you were really stiff. I'm gonna pause it. Okay, I had to pause it for a second to kind of line something up. So you want a little bit of a gap here. You're trying to look through here. And you're going to play with it a little bit, and it should line up. So this is kind of kicking my ass a little bit, but it's okay. I'd rather get it right the first time and then try not to. This bolt carrier is pretty new, so the spring in there, where I showed you, is pretty good. So just give me one minute of fighting with it. Come on. Right about there. There we go. So we got it halfway in. We just got to get to the other side. Come on. Sometimes you can see it. There we go. So you have the bolt cam or extractor pin back in. Your bolt. You can get different bolts. You can get new bolts if you need to. Some people carry bolts themselves. Inside here, you're looking at the bolt carrier itself. Inside there, where the bolt sits, is where a lot of carbon will build up. So you can take like a little bit of a carbon scraper or a brass brush and get in there and clean it. When I showed you this gas tube right here, right there, it was that gas tube where the blowback happens. It connects into this, so this is where all your gas kind of energy comes back and pushes the bolt back. So you want to clean this up a little bit. You flip it around. This really doesn't get dirty, but when you shove kind of a cleaning rod down and you get that brass in there to kind of clean the backside, you can clean it up. Excuse me. Usually I like to wipe down the whole side of it with a rag. Firing pin, it's usually, sometimes they get caked, so you can usually wipe the side of the firing pin off, but you get, like right here, I got it right now, is a little bit of carbon buildup at the base of the firing pin. Doing the same thing, taking your time and kind of scraping a little bit off of it will get that done. This cam pin's not so big of a deal, you just clean it up as normal. To reassemble, it's pretty simple. I should take this back. So when you reassemble, there's two sides, because if you think about how the rifle extracts and shoots, you're going to have the rifle extracts to the right for the most part, unless you have a different rifle. So you're going to put it with the extractor to the right, line it up. You're going to put the cam pin in, turn it 90 degrees. That locks it in. Pull the bolt forward. Now what I do is I take my hand, I wrap it around the bolt, and I take the firing pin and I drop it straight down. This keeps the firing pin from falling out side to side. Push the firing pin all the way in. I take this, your retaining pin. Sometimes you have to fight with it, sometimes you don't. It goes in, boom, so there you're there. Now when I was telling people about the whole bolt setup where you can put the bolt and check your check basically the washers or the gas rings, you would basically put the bolt, and it's kind of hard to show you from this angle, you'd freestand it, and if the bolt were to fall on its own, then it's time to replace those gas rings, but they're fine right now. One way to check it too is to flick it. That's a good sign. Your charging handle pretty much is the same thing set up. You don't really have to worry too much about it. You are going to clean it, and as normal. Some people have larger charging handles and not. For reassembly, like I showed you with these two detents, you're going to come in, find a little bit of that notch, slide it in a little bit so that it kind of holds, you're going to make sure the bolt is forward. So if it's back like this, it's no good. Flick it forward. All as one, it should be flush. Take your upper and lower, put them together, push the pins. You got one pin in, second pin in. Now the last step you got to do is do a functions check. So we're going to verify that it's clear. Let the charging handle go forward. We're going to put it on safe. It's on safe. We're going to rotate it to fire. We're going to fire. We're going to hold the trigger down. Charge it while holding the trigger down. Let it go forward. And you should hear that mechanical sear reset. And then again, fire. One nice thing with the A2 kind of sights is you get ghost rings for close. Flip it up, and then you have your precision sights. So it's kind of a cool thing from the old style. This too was like, if you were fighting with gas masks on, you'd want this. It's for kind of a CQB setup. It does work, but if you are shooting with this style sight, make sure that you are on kind of a precision sight if you're doing long distance or anything beyond 50 meters. A lot of people get screwed up and don't zero with the big sight. With that, it's Raven Tactical signing off, and always close your dust cover. And we're good. Have a great day. Subscribe, like, comment. Appreciate it. Thank you.